We're going to kick it off this morning with a very special guy, Atlanta-based illustrator and muralist, and all-around just amazing human and very magnetic speaker, George Baker III. Come on down, George.
Oh, man. Thank you. Oh, man. Bad. How y'all doing today? Yeah. See, I was about to do the cliche thing of like saying it one more time. How are y'all doing? But talking to my girlfriend who is very much an introvert, she was like, for most introverts, we gave you it one time. That's all you're gonna get. So that's all we're gonna do today, all right? Sounds good. Well, yeah, thank you again for being here. I know it's early in the morning, you know. It's 10 a.m. Friday. It's 95 degrees. For those that get it. For those that don't. But yeah, today we're gonna be talking about designing for the real world, or what you can learn from transforming your digital world into real world art. Yeah, shout out to me, I actually drew this, yeah. Yeah, you know, tried drawing out slides. It made me appreciate PowerPoint even more, so yeah. But yeah, as was stated, my name is George F. Baker III. I'm a muralist, illustrator, conversation creator, and a mass consumer of cinnamon Pop-Tarts. I will not argue. They are the best Pop-Tarts. Shout out to the Woo. Amen. I don't care about your wild berry, chocolate chip, butter, popcorn, whatever you got to do. Man, it's all about the cinnamon around here. Yes, shout out to my Cinefolk. But yeah, so I've been a practicing muralist for over 6 years now. It was something that I randomly shifted into based off of a friend of mine from my old graphic design days named Andy Hu. He literally hit me up 6 years ago in my DMs, shout out to Instagram DMs, and asked me a very peculiar question of, do I want to paint a mural? Mind you, I have never painted before this time. I've never thought about paint, not even watercolors. I thought watching paint dry was the worst thing to do. That's the reason why I got into doing digital stuff in the first place. I want to get my paint bucket tool and boom, it's red. Not two coats, one red. And so, when he asked me that, I was like, okay, yeah, I've never done it before. He said, do you want to try? And so from that point, I literally just was like, okay, yes, let's go for it. And after the initial excitement of that, sending out that text and trying something new, the realness of it set in. And I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And so what do we do when we don't know what we're doing in a crisis? YouTube, amen. Yeah. So I went to YouTube and literally typed in how to be a muralist. And really from that point, my journey just kind of started. And yeah, because of that, I've been able to, work in very, very large scales, learning spray paint, learning brush paint. I've been able to travel all over the world now. I've painted, of course, in Atlanta, because that's where I'm from. Shout out to the A. Woo, okay, well, I'm liking all the woos we're getting this morning. Yeah, more woos, trust me, yeah. But I've painted all over Atlanta, and I've painted as far as Tokyo. Yeah, all right, yeah, oh golly, yeah. But while doing this, it has taught me so many things. Not only about the physical world, but how that relates to the digital world that we work in. Because for all of these murals that you're seeing and all these like hand-painted drawings and type, all of my work still starts off in Illustrator. Yeah. But because I've worked in these like very large physical capacities, like it's taught me a few lessons that have like just really informed the work that I do. And I just really want to talk about, how we can all kind of embrace that and incorporate that into our own process. But yeah, a little bit more of my work. Amen. Matter of fact, just got done doing this for Bonnaroo. Yeah, the Bonnaroo Festival. Yeah, man, I love it, man. Come on. Hey, look, I want to spend as many W's and O's as possible. So yes, let's get them all out. Yeah. But yeah, I just got done doing this mural for Bonnaroo, where I got the opportunity to paint their like historic fountain in the middle of their big old campground. It was a fun process and a hot process because it was over 100 degrees and I'm just mopping paint on the ground. But it was a fun process nonetheless. But before I kind of get into some of the stories and lessons that I've learned, I want to kind of tell you a little quick story. So that little boy on the right with his tongue out and the Red Wings hat on, that is me. Yeah, me without hair. Whew, Lord. Yeah, no hair. I am those are my two beautiful parents. That's my mom on the right, Sharon Hubbard, and then my dad on the left, George Baker Jr. But I am a child of divorce. Well, hands up for anybody that's a child of divorce. Hey, okay, people that aren't child of divorce, give them a hand clap. Give them a hand clap. Yes, yes. We need it. We need it. We got our trauma early. But that's so we can work through it. That's so we can work through it. But yeah, so I'm a child of divorce, and my parents split up when I was very young, and so I grew up living in two separate households, and for a good portion of my life, I actually had to move away from my mom, and I stayed with my dad while I was in pretty much from Hilton Head all the way until really all of my teenage life. I stayed with my pops. But occasionally my mom would come down and come and visit me. And I still remember the day back in like the early 2000s. I was really sad because I had just moved down there to Hilton Head, and I was kind of struggling to adjust to just the different culture coming from Detroit, and also just living with my dad was just a little bit different than what I was used to. And so I still remember my mom coming in and handing me this GameCube. For one, excellent naming of that device. It plays games and is a cube. They got it. But I remember her giving that to me, and it was, you would think, oh man, it's just like a little gaming system. But for me, it became something a little bit more. It became something that connected me to my mother. In times where she wasn't around, or times where I couldn't really, get in contact with her, I knew that I could always be able to touch her by playing this game. And so those hours that I would spend until like 3 in the morning playing Super Smash Brothers, Melee, yeah, come on now. All right, hey man, shoot, okay, I'll get on the sticks with anybody. I'll probably lose, but I'll get on it. But those times of like playing that, it felt like I still had a connection to my mom. And that's not something that any Nintendo designer or producer thought about when they were making this. But that is the opportunity that you do get when it comes to, creating physical things. When you put something that you've made out into the world, it has to interact with the environment around it, and it becomes something even greater. So yeah, shout out to that. So yeah, why should you create physical products? Beyond just, being able to create a very sappy moment for a young boy, you can actually, you can use the tools that you have to create some incredibly beautiful and meaningful things for people. One of the things that I think about when it comes to why you should create physical products is the word friction. It's one of the most important it's one of the most important things when it comes to moving people. I'm like, shoot, if you just think about friction as a concept, we kind of need it to not just be careening off of the planet or just all over the planet. We need things to be able to just like stop us a little bit. And that's exactly what friction does, when it comes to physical design. You want to make things that stop you in your tracks, that make you pay attention, that make you stop doom scrolling so much. You want things just to keep you in a place and to speak to you. Also, it's not even just important in that physical type of manner. You want friction to also be somewhat of a pain point for people. I think those are the things that you end up remembering the most, the things that you had to go through the most friction to actually obtain. For example, most people, I'm assuming most people remember like the CD age. Yeah, shout out. I still remember all the things that I had to do just to grab one CD. I had to, for one, ask my mom to take me to the mall. So I had to get in the back of her car and feel the leather of the seat up against me. I had to then go to Borders and look through all these different CDs that I was not trying to hear. At that time, I did not want to see, I don't know, whoever it was, Sugar Ray. I was not interested in him, but I had to get through him to get to the thing that I was actually trying to get to. And then once I finally actually got that jewel case, I had to then buy it and then struggle with the stupid plastic. I still remember it to this day. And then I had to open that up, finally get back home, put it into my little CD player, and then finally listen to the music. And those processes made me appreciate the music so much. I'm like, a lot of those old CDs I still have to this day, and I won't let them go, And I feel like a lot of the struggle points that we have as digital artists is trying to figure out ways that people can actually, feel embraced to take in the stuff. And it's not just seen as content, because it isn't content. It is stuff that you put your heart into. You put time into. You didn't drink too much Red Bull or Celsius to actually make this happen. Like, no, we need to figure out more ways to make sure that people can actually, feel the things that we do. And then another thing, we respect ease. Not easy. We don't like things that are easy. We just gloss over things that are easy. I even feel like, in some of the spaces that you may work with, some of the higher ups may see your work as easy. They think like, oh yeah, you just press a button and then boom, you have it. But the thing about it is, it's a craft. Your digital work is a craft. And when it comes to translating that over into a physical aspect, like, learning the craft of making things, whether it's sculpture, whether it's murals, whether it's screen printing, it gives you a newfound respect for the work that you're doing. Man, seeing this over like just 30 seconds is crazy. That took me 2 weeks to do. That was 2 weeks of a process. I wish I moved that fast. Unfortunately, I do not. But yeah, it was a really interesting process. And yeah, we just want to make sure that when it comes to making physical things, we want to be able to learn how things are put together, because it only makes your digital things look even better. And then of course, man, at the end of the day, we create for people, right? I'm like, yeah, we may think that we're creating for clicks, or we're creating for the brochure to get done, or we're just creating to make sure that paycheck still comes on Friday. No, at the end of the day, we're always making things for people. And it's important to realize that with the work that you do, they are always going to be the main receivers for your message. So learning how to make things again, and embracing like the physical feel of just, something as simple as like paying more attention to how you cook a meal. You're literally crafting something for somebody else. And those are the things that, I feel like are the most important reasons on why you should even create physical products to this day. So yeah. Oh yeah, this was a cute moment at Bonnaroo. Somebody actually proposed on the mural. It was, I know, I'm getting alls and woos. Okay, yeah. I love it, yeah. But I didn't know that going into it. You know, I didn't know that that would have such a profound impact on another person to where they would look at my work and feel like this is the best moment to tell somebody else I love you, you know? But that is the glory that you can get when it comes to making physical work and putting your stuff out into the world. You never know what you'll receive. Yeah, so, you know, we got into the, you know, feelings part of it. Yeah, let's talk about the actual can do. That sounds good? Yeah. All right, yeah. I love it. I like the energy this morning. It's not too early for y'all. Yeah. One of the most important things when it comes to, you know, actually making art is you want to make sure to consider all the different things that you know, go into bringing your work, your digital work into the real world. You know, this can also even help you even think about, you know, what that even looks like for you, because it's going to be different for everybody. Not everybody wants to be a painter. That's perfectly fine. This is not about, you know, converting all of y'all into muralists. That's a lot of competition, and I don't want to have to compete with all of y'all, man. But, you know, if anything, this can just help you kind of think about, you know, what does that look like for you? Yeah, you always want to be able to just like respect the kind of medium that you work with. For example, this was a basketball court that I had the opportunity to do with the company Chime and the rapper 21 Savage. Yeah, it was a hell of a mix, but hey, we made it work. It made sense. But, you know, this was something that first I designed digitally in Illustrator. You know, I had so many details in there. I had, you see all those little coins. I had probably times about 3 of them all over the court. The company I was working with, Project Backboard, they told me, they was like, okay, yeah, this design is cool, but I just want you to remember, you're going to be painting this. Like, help us out, man. Do you need 80 coins to make sure that we understand there's coins here? No. But yeah, you want to also consider how texture deals with the work that you do. You know, for example, with this, instead of just using regular paint, we actually had to mix sand in with the paint, you know, to make sure that it was, you know, court ready, because it was going to be stepped on. You know, people were going to be playing basketball. Some kid was going to get dunked on, and that was just going to be a horrible time for him. And I wanted to make sure the surface was great for that moment. But yeah, you know, think about it when it comes to, you know, how to express some of the work that you do. Whether it's thinking about the substrates that you use for screen printing, or making T-shirts, or even, you know, thinking about how you would want to like package the work that you do. I think one of the coolest deliverables I've ever seen was somebody designed a whole fake pizza company for some of like their send outs to potential clients. And so they made a whole pizza box. With this fake company they came up with, and then also sewed slices of pizza into the inside of the box. Coolest thing ever. And I could only imagine it probably, you know, made a big impression on those people that received it. But, you know, please consider, you know, how texture and form kind of plays into the work that you do. Yeah, another thing to consider, scale. Scale is incredibly important, and scaling isn't just how big something is, or making it the largest possible thing, or making the logo bigger. It is all about, it is also about, you know, the quantity of things. You know, maybe the effect that you want to have on your work is, you know, you want it to be real small, but you want there to be thousands of things for people to interact with. You know, that can make your work interesting and stand out. Making it incredibly large and 80 feet up in the air, as this one is, it made it stand out. Yeah, because initially I actually just drew this on a very, like a very small canvas, and you know, it was cool, and you know, I liked it. But the client, one of the clients I was working with in Atlanta saw it, and they were like, hey, you ever think about just expanding this incredibly large onto a wall above a tree, above a street. And the impact that had in doing that just completely changed how that work was received. It felt like it was something that was a part of the fabric of the city instead of just something that was on a canvas. So, think about how you can use scale in the work that you do. Even think about like the old Bobby Brown video. I don't know why I'm thinking about that right now, where he had the big old, my prerogative words in the back. Like, it would have been as interesting if that was just a small title that just went by real quick on the screen? No. Sometimes bringing that work out into the physical realm just has like such a huge impact on people and makes people think about it 30, 40 years later while they're up on stage and giving a talk. So, yeah, always consider how scale, deals with the work that you do. Yeah, talk about light. Give me the light. Shout out to Sean Paul. Amen. One of the things I like to consider, especially because I'm working out in public, is how light is going to be reflected off of the work that I do. As you can see, this image is incredibly bright. This store is incredibly bright. It was for Warby Parker. I got the opportunity recently to do a mural inside of the new location in Savannah. And at first, I was actually going to use a very, very glossy finish, not knowing that it was going to be this bright in there. That would have been a huge mistake. Everybody would have been blinded, and then there's no reason for glasses. Or maybe they shifted the sunglasses, and then there we go. Now it makes sense. But you want to consider how light, affects the work that you do, or it can even be the medium of the work that you do. I was talking to somebody recently, yesterday, who works in projections. I think his name is Malachi. I don't know if you're here, Malachi. Oh, hey, there you go, my man. Yeah. And just talking with him and seeing the way that your projection work or your digital work and the way everything moves is just so amazing. But even with that, that's a way that you can physically take that off of the computer and projection map it onto a building to where it becomes something a little bit different for more people to interact with. Or maybe that light refracts off of a few mirrors and now you have a kaleidoscope for people to actually travel into your artwork. And that transforms the way that people receive and are affected by the work that you do. So yeah, you always just want to kind of consider how all these different factors kind of, come into play with the work that you do, because they'll all have a huge effect. And then lastly, man, send in the nouns, man. Think about those nouns when it comes to the work that you do. The people, the place, and the things that surround your work really affect how things are perceived. I always, especially for murals, you have to be incredibly considerate of where things are based, because you want it to be something that is received by the people that are there, and that is felt by the people that are there. Also, I even think about it when it comes to design. You always want to be able to craft something that feels like it was built specifically for the people that it's given to. Because community and culture is really just, people like us do things like this. And we want to make sure that we're utilizing that information and putting that back into the designs that we make. Matter of fact, shout out to all the earrings that you have been making, Cara, because I feel like that is something that, hey, give her a hand, yes, amen, yes. Because even that is something that is so interesting and is exactly the type of stuff that I'm talking about. If you would take that to the Procreate community, be like, man, get this mess out of here. But this fits, or maybe, no, okay, I gotta know. That's my first no of the day. Okay, whole bunch of woos, one no. I'm living good. But I feel like that is made specifically for this community and reflects the values and the things that we love. And that's the only reason that it looks that way, and it's felt so strongly by the people that are here. Yeah, and those are the things that you want to consider when it comes to like the work that you do, because that has a huge effect on how everything is felt, man. I'm telling you, it matters, it matters. Yeah, and it can also just give you some new inspiration on like different things that you can develop for people. Like, matter of fact, in Atlanta, I don't know if you know, but roller skating culture is really cool out there. Yeah, man, shout out to my, people on blades and people on fours. That's awesome. And I realized like there's actually like this very niche design group that only makes like specialty wheels, crafts like specialty leather for just that community, and it's so felt, and it's so like it just reaches people in a way to where like they just love it. They stand for it. And those are the things that you can kind of achieve when it comes to making your designs into real life products. They become a part of communities. And that's all that we want, to be connected to people, right? All right, I got too. Yeah, but lastly, I kind of want to talk a little bit about like the ideas that can also bounce back into your digital work, because I'm not telling everybody in here to just throw away your computers, leave your iPads out. I'm like, don't do that, because somebody is gonna make a lot of money off of that. But no, I'm like, I only want people to reach out and try more, more real life craft and physical work, because I want them to learn specific lessons to bring that back into the digital world. Yeah. For example, man, play testing. There's a lot of developers in here. Some of them, probably already know this term. Even if there's some game designers in here, a lot of the things that game designers love to do is like they like to actually give the work that they created out to people, and let them see how they're going to like work with everything. It's one of I feel like it's one of the best things that you can do with the work that you do, because it shows you, I'm like, people will show you exactly how they want to utilize something. I'm like, you can craft the best, landscape design for somebody with cobblestones everywhere, but you'll still see the patch of ground that people constantly walk to get to the bus. People are going to people no matter what, and we have to embrace that as designers. Like, we can't just only create in a digital realm, because we'll just continue to get the same ideas and not understand why things aren't felt. So you actually want to get your stuff out into people's hands and into the environment to see how that is going to reflect back onto your work. For example, with this piece that I painted, this was for a kind of cool, I better not say kind of cool. They're very cool. They're very, very cool. I know this is recorded, so if they see it, you're cool. An incredibly dope creative brand. See, I'm upgrading it now. They make all these like very cool designs for all these businesses out there, and they wanted me to craft a mural based off of the name of the company, which is called Chill, right? And so I was thinking of all these like interesting phrases, like, yeah, man, chill out, you just gotta chill. And one of the phrases I put in there was, like take a chill pill, as you can see all the way on the bottom left. I did not know, while I was painting this, that right across the street from where this building was a facility where people who were addicted to pills were, yeah. And it's funny in hindsight, but because there's like literally, so stretching out, there's like a little door that's like right here, and that door literally frames take a chill pill. Like as they're coming out, it's all bad. Like, yeah, I remember painting it out there, and I get a tap on my shoulder, and the lady's like, hey, can I I'll talk to you real quick. So of course, she explained that to me and took me on a tour through the facility. I was like, oh my God, I've made a horrible mistake. But I would have never learned that if I just, did it on my computer and sent that off to be vinyl printed, and then boom, that would have been it. But because, we actually talked about that, hey, then I was like, while I'm there, let me just correct it. Changed up the design, and it was perfectly fine. But you want to be able to have those interactions because, like, I'm telling you, you don't want to make that mistake, for one. I'm like, I don't want to contribute to somebody's addiction unless it's cinnamon Pop-Tarts. That's fine. But yeah, you want to put your stuff out into the world as much as possible, and be okay with the type of feedback that you get. It's a scary process. Don't get me wrong. I'm up here, but I am scared as hell. But it's okay to do things and still be scared. That's perfectly fine. Like, you may get like feedback that this is crap, and that's okay. Sometimes it is crap. We want to learn what crap is so we can make better crap. Come on. Yeah. I like the clap. Yeah. Oh man, y'all are great. Yeah. Another thing to consider that comes back when it comes to making work is that you realize very quickly that that personality is unique to you, but it is not unique to the rest of the world. Like, your personality could be yours, and it could be somebody else's. I'm like, your experience, of course, is incredibly unique, but somebody else sees it as unique too, and there's so many ways that y'all can like match up if you just open yourself up a little bit. It's funny because like I think the most interesting part about that is like the details. The details are different. I can come in here right now and say like, oh yeah, we all had Saturday morning cartoons and ate cereal, right? Yeah, everybody did that. But the details of what you consumed were probably a little different. The details of how your couch felt and where it was positioned was a little different. How the sun came in, if there was no sun, if you was watching, I don't know, Tiny Toons Adventures on WB, or, if you was watching, if you're a little older and watching Thundercats, I guess, I don't know. Yeah. I'm like that's the most interesting part about, being a human. Like, you really do believe that a lot of the things that you do are very, very unique until you put something out into the world and you realize somebody else has had something very, very similar, and y'all can match up. For example, I created this mural out in Chicago a couple of years ago. I was kind of like going through a rough time, and I was kind of trying to just figure out like what I wanted to, produce out in the world. And this phrase came up in my head of like, find what frees you. I never was a skateboarder, but I just loved it. I tried to ollie. It failed, and I said, you know what? Shout out to Tony Hawk, man. Keep on doing it. And I gave up that dream, but I always just like, loved the freedom of it. And so, I crafted this mural, as something that was like just very personal to me. The last day I produced it, there was this wonderful lady. She came up to me and was just like, she was crying. I was like, oh man, I was looking around for somebody that, hurt her. I was like, oh, okay, what did I do? Like, and she was like, I just want to give you a hug because she was like, I have been struggling in my marriage for 25 years. And I walked across this mural today, and I saw that phrase of find what frees you, and it instantly made me realize like that I need to find that for myself, and I need to leave my marriage. And she was like, just thank you so much. I was taken back was taken back by it. I'm like, so many ways. I was like, dang, that's beautiful. And then I was like, dang, man, I feel bad for the husband because he don't know what's coming for him. But rough. But I felt like it was interesting because like I thought I was the only one that was struggling with like, my identity and where I was and feeling like I was kind of enclosed in so many ways. But there was somebody else going through the same exact thing that I was going through, but just the details were different. And we want to be able to learn, we want to be able to recognize that as much as possible because we can then try to incorporate and bring our own personalities and our own things that we're going through and try to incorporate that into the work because it's going to be felt by somebody. We may not know who that person is or where they are, but we want to produce and make things that could possibly be felt by somebody else, once again, I feel like that's why we even do this thing. Like we want to be able to connect to somebody else. We've at an early age, we felt like we wanted to express something out into the world, and we wanted other people to connect and to take it in and be received by it and be transformed by it. And that is the power of, I don't know, trying to put things out into this world. Yes, it's really cool. I don't know where that husband is now, but yeah. Hopefully he's okay. Yeah, and that leads me into like, really was just one of my last points is vulnerability. It is something that it's hard. It's hard as hell to do. I feel like even right now, like just thinking about that word is kind of like drumming up some emotions right now. I'm trying to suppress. I'm trying not to cry up here. But recognizing that the beauty in physical things is that physical things are vulnerable. They have the opportunity to break. They have the opportunity to get lost, to rip, tear, to be forgotten. But that is what makes them the most beautiful things that connect to us to this day. I'm like, everybody in here could probably think about one of their favorite jackets that they had when they was a kid, why it was their favorite. Maybe it had cool pockets. Maybe it just made you feel comfortable. I'm like, I have a comfort hoodie at home that I just wear when I'm at home, and that's just mine, and I've had it for like 12 years, and it's starting to rip in certain places. I got some COVID weight, so it doesn't fit me in the same way. But I know eventually it's gonna rip on me. But I know that for the time that it was there, it got me through some tough times. It was something that like was very, very personal to me and something that I'll probably never forget, And that's the chance that you want to take with the work that you do. You want to be able to create very, very vulnerable things, whether they're physical, whether they're digital. Because those are the things that you're gonna remember to this day. Matter of fact, I ain't even planning for this. I know most people say that, and some people be planning for it, and that's a part of the stick, but nah. Man, so I keep this like little note. I know you can't see it, nobody got that good of a vision. But I keep this little note because it was something, it says, I like you, do you like me? And it was something that me and my girlfriend exchanged probably like a good month into our relationship, Fortunately, she checked the yes box. Yeah. Yeah. Boom. Yeah, but like, it's just on a crummy little piece of paper. It's nothing too crazy. But I think for me, it was something very important. It's something that I keep very dear to me and close to my heart because I want to remember, that love that was formed in that moment. I want to remember that connection, and I want to remember that vulnerability because, it's hard to put yourself out into this world. You don't know what you'll receive, and so many times we're told like, push that, feely crap into it, make it just clean, but life is messy, and we need to try to figure out more ways that we can bring that into the work that we do. you know? More ways that the digital things can feel like they were made by somebody, like there's a fingerprint on them. You know, I know everybody is either incredibly scared of AI or is fully embracing AI, whichever way that you lean, you know, that's fine, but I think no matter what, it's always remembering like people are still gonna be here and people still need to be felt and people need to make sure that other people are feeling them too. So yeah, man, get out here, make things that break, make things that may fail, make things that don't look good. Don't be afraid if you're like, oh, I can't draw, and you know, I can't even draw a stick figure. I'm letting you know right now, as a muralist, I hear that everywhere I go. It is the most cited phrase, and I always push back on it because it's like, hey, there's no right way to draw a stick figure. Why are you afraid of that? There's no need to be afraid of drawing a stick figure correctly. It's a stick. It's a stick. You know, if your stick figure leans a little bit to the left, that's okay. Like, embrace that. Like, bring that handiwork into the things that you do, because more often than not, man, we want to connect with you. And just remember that in all the work that you do, physical or digital. So, yeah, thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, man. Oshkosh bagosh, man. Y'all so nice. Oh, man. Yeah, man. So, I guess, you know, for this last little portion of the session, I'm open to questions. Got one all the way in the back?
I just want to emphasize how much I love your perspective on if it's personal to you, it's personal to somebody else. Mm-hmm. And so frequently as designers, especially depending on the size of your company, you struggle with, oh, well, we got to create something that, you know, resonates with everybody.
Yeah.
And that's just not possible. And it's so beautiful to recognize that the more personal you make it, the more genuine you are with what you create, the more that resonates with other people.
Yeah.
And then I want to also commend you for one of your murals resulting in an engagement and another one resulting in a divorce.
Wow, yeah. I never really thought about it like that. Dang, I got versatility. Hey, no, man, I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm a firm believer that like you can't create. You can't create everything for everybody. You know, you can't. There's no way you can please everybody at the end of the day. Like, anybody that has kids in here, I do not, but I have babysat a lot. If you have tried to cook the same meal for everybody, it's not gonna work. You know, one kid likes chicken nuggets, one kid can't stand the nugget of a chicken. Like, you can't do that. I feel like trying to drill down into something that is incredibly personal, incredibly specific, you'll be surprised that it not only will connect the people that speaks to directly, but it'll also connect the people that are just outside of that, because now they're interested in like, wait, why is this one little niche thing serving these people so much? What can I learn about that? Like, does that resonate with me in some type of way? So yeah, for me personally, I do not try to create for everybody. It never works. Never works. Yeah. Yes.
We got a couple of questions from the online community, but first of all, I got to tell you, the amount of love and engagement in the chat for this session is amazing.
What?
It is.
All right. Wow. Dang, thank you.
They're having a great time online here.
Oh, man.
Someone is asking if you physically paint all installations, or do you ever use vinyl wraps in some instances?
Good question. Yes, really for a good like 90% of the murals that I do, I'm doing them by hand. So that's spray paint, That's bucket paint. That's a lot of, blood, sweat, and tears, all that. Yeah, I be crying at my murals. I'm not afraid. But in some cases, I have used vinyl, but it's mostly been, it's only for like vinyl wraps of like vehicles. Like one time I did like a Dick's Sporting Goods truck a couple of years ago. And, at first I was thinking, oh yeah, it'll be cool to paint it. But, there, I tried it out on like, old junkyard, and I was like painting on the car, and I was like, this is just gonna be a process that doesn't make sense, but I can still learn about how to actually physically wrap a car. So I went to a couple of car wrappers that I knew and just was like, hey, do you mind if I just like watch what you do and some of the things that you consider? So it was still like a very physical learning process for me. And that's how I want all my processes to be. Like even if it has to be vinyl, I still want to learn, okay, how is it actually adhered? How can I even what can I learn physically that's going to help me out digitally? So yeah, great question. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, I'm going to go to you right here in the front.
Hi, your work is incredible.
Oh.
I just had one question. How do you market yourself, or do you have any tips for people on marketing themselves?
Okay. The question was, how do I market myself, and any tips and tricks on how I market myself? All right, bet. So really the way that I market myself is I'm a firm believer in cold emails and contacting people directly. So a lot of the people that I have worked with, I have sought out. I have either hit them up in the email, and I've learned how to be professionally annoying. Yeah, just keep on replying to that same email over and over again. And one thing I did learn was if you continue to reply to an email, you just keep on attaching more people that work at that company to the email. Weirdly, it works. But outside of that, I also have a website, a portfolio website. I put a lot of stuff on my Instagram. But most of the time, it's either I'm reaching out to people or people reach out to me by like word of mouth. Yeah, like even it was random. I had Mercedes-Benz hop in my DMs on Instagram. It was weird. I was like, I don't know if this is real. It seems scammy. It was real as hell. It was crazy, yeah. But tips and tricks, be honest and be very genuine. The way that it works for me isn't gonna work for everybody. I'm a firm believer in that. Like, find out what it is, what is that secret sauce that you have, and try to seek and find out like some of the brands or some of the companies that you really love and desire, because who knows, it may work out. So yeah, try out. Mm-hmm. Right behind, yep, right there.
Kind of expanding on that, especially when you started out. I think we've all had clients or worked for companies that are afraid of their own shadow and afraid to have fun. Your style is very fun, and you definitely have a specific style.
Mm-hmm.
You run into, especially at the beginning, trying to convince people to trust you and your creativity and let you do what you want to do, and that you, as the creative mind, know what's best, sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
We always say the customer is always right, but sometimes that involves making crappy work.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to make crappy work.
Yeah.
So any tips and tricks on that?
Yeah, so essentially trying to understand how to get clients to trust you in the work that you do, and trust, like, I guess, your visual style or some of the decisions that you make. I can definitely say, it's still something that I work through. I feel like trust is earned, and so like a lot of the time now, I don't have as much of the pushback that I did when I initially started. Because for me personally, I try to come up with my own composition, the things I'm going to draw, even the copy that I put into my work is very personal. Like, the companies I work with, they do not write my copy. I always write my own. Because my messages are very important to me, and the things that I want to say and how I want to connect it to people are very important. So I've had a lot of situations where, unfortunately, we meet an impasse and we just don't go on. And a lot of times I feel like early on you'll feel like, I gotta say yes. Sometimes the most important thing you can just say is no, and realize that maybe we just don't work together as a company or as an entity, and that's perfectly fine. The more I've learned, like the more times that you say no in those situations and you stand your ground, they just end up making you a better designer, and people respect your own knowledge base even more. I was actually just talking to somebody earlier, and I was saying like a good thing to do, especially early on, is if that trust isn't there, you want to try to meet them where they are and try to bring as much knowledge and information as possible. Tell them, okay, man, if we make the logo bigger on here, I'm telling you, man, it's just not either going to be seen or it's going to ruin the design. Let me show you examples of how that didn't look well. Or, hey, man, put all this text on a huge billboard. Man, when was the last time you drove and saw a billboard and stopped in the middle of the street to read all the text at the bottom? Like, it's funny, but it's like sometimes you have to say that just to like let them know, like, these are some of the things that you may not be thinking about, Just try to be as real and honest and bring as much, thought into the process, and, the trust will start to develop. Yeah, heck yeah. Any more? Okay, my man. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, I got some smart things for you. Yeah, so, or some dumb things for you. I don't know. Hey, it's come. Okay, so the question is some tips and tricks on how to use Illustrator to like scale up things. Okay, so for example, when it comes to a lot of like these large scale murals that I do, I'm telling you right now, I've never been good at math, so I do not go out there and do a mathematical grid. That does not make sense to me. Nope. I got a D in math modeling in college, and I said, oops, that's not for me. So one of the techniques that a lot of muralists use, and even just like, painters use, is a method called doodle grids, right? So, do I have an example I can show? I don't think I got an example. But essentially what it is you go up to a wall, you'll just start drawing nonsensical numbers, letters, random shapes onto it, right? Once you do that, you take a picture of it, put it into Illustrator, overlay your design right on top of it, bring down the opacity a little bit, and now you'll have something that you can actually like reference off of. So you can say, oh man, where I doodled that 4, I now know that's where the eyes actually start. And so it's a way to quickly build a point of reference instead of mathematically saying, oh, in quadrant 4A, that's where I put. No, nobody got time for that. Yeah, a doodle grid is a very easy and accessible method to do it. Or, even something even easier if you have access to power and it's at night, use a projector. Yeah, keep it simple, man. Yeah, don't think about it too hard. But yeah. Anything else? Oh, wait, I gotta get you in the back and I'm gonna come up. All the way in the back? Oh yeah, all of you all the way in the back. Yeah, that was you. You. Oh, is there something I would recommend to my 18-year-old self? Don't make me cry, man. Be more honest with yourself and those around you. I don't think, I've been like sketching and stuff all my life, hiding my stuff in my sketchbooks and not really showing it off to people. Knowing, I knew what like my dreams were, and I never would really express them to people or even try to act on them. And I wish that I had like the type of honesty about my own self and with myself that I did back then, because I didn't at all. I thought I was being honest, but I was being very dishonest with those around me, because I just didn't trust that they would receive my dreams and my desires as much and as badly as I wanted them. So I think, I wish I was a lot more honest, but it helped me get here today, so thankful for it. Thank you, good question. Heck yeah. Oof. No, man. Thank you. I was gonna come up here and then, yeah.
Mine's small, but like, what has been your biggest mural that you've done?
Ooh, okay. The biggest mural, boop, 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 that one. What it doesn't show here is that it actually wraps around this building. And so that was 180 feet, 160 feet long. It was 80 feet up in the air, and then that canvas from the bottom to the top was like 22 feet. Yeah, so that was my biggest one. It was my scariest one because I had to reach over streets and trees and extend a 125-foot boom lift up and over everything. Yeah, and I'm afraid of heights, so yeah, that was my biggest one. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Thanks, George.
Oh, thank you.
Remember the first mural that brought you the most acclaim and attention or acceptance of this path that you
Ooh.
either from family or business?
Ooh, that's a great question. I like that question. Can I think of the very first mural that kind of like brought me a lot of acclaim and put me on this path? Yes. I was, 6 years ago? 5 years ago now. I had been doing murals for like about a year. I had some projects, but wasn't really making a lot of money. Didn't really think that this was going to be the thing for me. I remember, talking to a partner at that time, and I was like, I don't think this mural thing is going to be for me. I've been very committed to it for over a year, and it's just not really seeming like it's going to work out. By the end of that sentence, and mind you, this is like 10 p.m. in the middle of the night, I get a little ding, and it is an email from the NFL. Yeah, whoa is right. So in Atlanta at this time, this was like I think like 2018. It was when we hosted the Super Bowl down there, right? And this was the Patriots versus Rams. Yeah, the defensive Super Bowl. It was beautiful. I'm a NFL fan. Sorry, I could wax poetic about that all day. But they were coming down there, and they were looking for different artists and muralists to participate in a lot of activations inside Centennial Park. And so they asked me if I wanted to live paint a mural in front of 100,000 people. So yeah. Yeah. Man, yeah, it came at like the best time because I really was like, of course, leaning to leaving. But I think for me, it was something that was like my highest paying job at that time. And it was something that, I could tell my dad, he was nowhere near on the fence. He was in the whole other field of like, nah, this is not it. He's like, you gonna paint? you can paint my house. Like, that's, you know, which is just totally understandable. You know, I get it. You know, trying to explain to my parents that muralist was a thing, they didn't even know what that word was. So when I got to tell him that I was working for the NFL, instantly he was like, "Oh shoot, my son's a muralist." Yeah. Yeah, it was wild. It was wild, man. And then I got to go to Tokyo with that money. Oh man, it was so good. Oh, it just put me on a path, man. It led me to why I'm here. It led me here today, and I'm thankful for that. Yeah, very, very thankful. Yeah. Any other questions? Or is that time? I think that's time, guys. Thank y'all so much.